Good morning guys, welcome to the vlog. I'm still a little bit sick, but all fine, good again to head back to the studio and work on new music. Today coming up definitely the Arturia keyboard giveaway, and I will start a new track from scratch and show you how I do that, everything about it. But first a quick update. My last single, Final Warning, reached now almost 40,000 plays on Spotify, which is great, almost 40,000 on YouTube, and almost also 10,000 on SoundCloud, which is an amazing start. So yeah, breakfast, coffee, heading to the studio, and then it's about time to start with the next single.
Take me to the promised land. This was your final warning.
Finally back again in the studio after spending the entire weekend at home. That's what normal people do, but as you know, I'm usually almost every day here. But working on music, being creative while you're sick is not really the best idea. Today is the first day where I think it's possible. Still probably not the best idea. So let's first start with the Arturia Keylab giveaway. You all had the chance to participate on Instagram and Facebook. And out of all of the comments, I picked 10 persons where I think they really deserve a keyboard or they are really in a desperate need to get a keyboard. And out of those 10, I can't really decide. So I will just pick someone randomly. And there's nothing better to pick someone random than the random number generator. And it says 6. So let me actually look up in my notes who is actually number 6. And the winner is Fukushi. I think that's Japanese. But it seems like he's from Paris, so good luck to me, because sending it to Japan would be expensive. The last winner of the last competition was from Australia. That was super expensive, so Paris isn't that bad. We'll send it out to you as soon as you send me your address, and have fun with it, make music with it, be creative with it. And there's another giveaway coming up actually already maybe tomorrow for this old keyboard. It's not as expensive or as special as the Arturia one, but I don't use it anymore. And there were so many people that don't even have a MIDI keyboard, so why not give it away instead of having it here collecting dust. But now let's actually get to the music making part. First up, of course, hello, trackpad. Battery is probably dead. Okay, come on, trackpad. It works. So whenever you start a track from scratch, of course, you just open up your DAW and just start. I usually go with first the drums, at least kick, snare, or clap, to have like a basic foundation. For electronic dance music, this totally makes sense. If you do acoustic music, if you do very pop-influenced music, it makes more sense to just start with the musical parts. Lay down the chords, lay down the main melody, maybe even start already with the songwriting, because that's like the key feature of those kind of songs and should be nailed down first. So basically what I'm saying is just start with the most important for your style of music, and also start with the most important part in the song. Don't start with the intro, no one cares for that. Just start, basically, if you do big room EDM, start with the end of the break and the first big drop. That's like the magical, most important moment. Get that down first, because if that's working, the rest is just easy. You just do it. If that's not working and you have the entire rest of the track and you still try to figure out that part, you will most likely end up with a track that you will never finish. And as you can see, my logic already starts with a couple of predetermined channels. I have here all of my effects, from ambient reverbs, smaller reverbs to bigger reverbs, echoes, the crystallizer, panman, H-delay, distortion, chorus, and the master. And here in the beginning, the blue ones are like the drums. That's the Geist plugin that I use to program my drums, and it has already preloaded samples and already pre-routed channels, so that the outputs of the plugin are linked to the channels here in Logic. If you don't have an auto load or like a preset or like a template that you start from, I can just highly advise you to make one as soon as possible. It will save you so much time. It will so much help you to have your ideas laid down faster, and the faster you can work, the less you will lose your creative flow. And I think it also helps to have like a consistent sound throughout your productions, to make them sound more like they're coming from one project, and also polish your sound and advance with your mixing, because every time you learn something new, you can implement it again into your template, into your auto load, and reuse it the next time, and this way just eliminate making mistakes. And if you found a good reverb, it's a nice way to just reuse it again on the vocals, for example. Then the first thing I do with every single production is finding a good kick. This can take, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. I just really try to find one that works and kind of fits to the style that I have in mind for the kind of track. If you make big room music or future bass, you need a more electronic sounding kick, less natural sounding kick. If you make deep house or house music, you might go for a kick that is layered with an acoustic kick that has just this more natural, more human kind of sound. I think we don't have to argue on this one. The kick is by far the most important element. It's your foundation. If you get the kick right, everything else will be a lot easier, because if you have the kick, you just add a clap or a snare, and if they sound a little off, it's not that important as long as you have like this kick groove going. The kick makes up most of your sub low end part. It's the one thing that makes you moving in the club, and because it's so important, you have to choose it wisely. I think a lot of people make the mistake that they just choose the kick by sounding fat itself, but that's actually a mistake. It needs to sound good within the mix. So actually just choose a kick that's fine, start making your track, and then always think about changing the kick. Most people just choose a kick and stick to it. If you have enough experience and you mixed already enough tracks, you might be able to know from the beginning which kick works, or you have your own sample folder. I have my own sample folder with like 20 kicks where I know that they just work for certain styles. By the way, if you're interested in those samples, there's a link down below where you can download all of them, and also samples by other people that are part of my AXSENS label. And then please don't choose a kick that is too long. Usually the shorter the kick actually is, the easier it is to mix, the more space you have between of those kicks to place other elements, be it low toms or like the sub bass of the song. Don't make it too short so that it starts sounding awkward. It should have like a natural sustain, and the slower your track is, the longer the kick can actually be, because there's more space between those kicks. A lot of people just use the kicks out of their sample packs as they are, but you should always think about a couple of things with every kick that you choose. The first one is, of course, the pitch of the kick. A kick is an instrument, it has a tone, it needs to be pitched to the key of the track. If you don't do that, it will sound awkward. You don't have to pick the root note, but at least one of the notes that is within the scale of the key that your song is in. If you pick a note that isn't in it, it will just sound off, and it won't really work together with the bass as much. Here in Guys, the pitching is actually just done here with this one tune knob. Every drum loading program, every DAW should have an option to pitch. You can also fine pitch if it's not close enough, and as you can see down here, you can change the length of the kick. If you're layering kicks and they sound awkward together, you can always try out here to flip the phase. This sometimes helps to get rid of frequencies that might cancel out each other. If you layer a kick and there are frequencies just being erased, or it sounds really weird or out of phase, just flip the phase of one of them and it might get corrected. This usually helps. Another important thing to get a good kick sound is actually like the click of the kick, the attack, the very first top part of the kick that you hear. I usually solve it by layering. I have always like a sub part that goes up to 500 to maybe 1100 hertz. It really depends on the kick sample, and then a top part that just takes care of the other half of the frequencies. And by having them separate, I can change the volume on both, EQ them differently. For example, if the kick and bass, the low end really works good together and you have the side chaining going on and you can't hear like the top part of the kick, I can just increase the volume of the top click part and make it cut through the mix. This will be more and more important the more elements you have going on in your song. There's usually no way you can have a very sub-frequency heavy kick without a top part. It will just sound a little weird. And especially on smaller speakers, you will need that. Otherwise, it will just sound if there is actually no kick in the entire song. So once I have the kick and the clap, like the basic house standard groove, there are two things I have to think about before advancing with it. First is the tempo of the track. Right now it's at 117. I think I will go lower for this one because we're going for more like emotional kind of mood. So I think like 112 might be a good tempo. I might still change it later. As long as the vocals are not recorded, it's still easy to change the tempo. Once you have the vocals, you should pretty much just stick with the tempo and not change it again. And the second thing you need to think about is actually the key of the song, the key you want to write your song in. And this depends if you have vocals heavily on the range of the singer and songwriter. If they can sing better in certain keys, choose that key. It's the most important to get the best performance out of your singer. If they're better in certain keys, that's what you should limit yourself to. I mean, for you as a producer, it doesn't really matter what key you write your song in. I know for classical music, there are like different moods for different types of keys. But in modern EDM pop music, that doesn't really matter that much. It matters more to have like a good vocal performance, and to get that, just choose a key the singer's comfortable with. You can either listen to tracks that they already recorded and see in which one of them they are the best performing and which key it is in, or you just straight up ask them, but some of them might actually not know which key they're best in. So yeah, it's your job to figure it out. You're the music producer. This is part of your task. Guiding everyone to, at the end, just get the best result, make the best song possible.
You had the chance to be her savior. You didn't save her. She was on your side.
All done with making music for today. I feel still like sick. I don't know. I still don't have like my full energy, my full creativity, my full concentration back. It's anyways Monday, so we'll just now switch after having like the foundation for the singer to work on something, to actually just do like business stuff. I can do that even with like half of my concentration. That's fine, it's not that important. Just answering a bunch of emails, contracts, get this very important letter to the mail, and then probably just head back home, relax a little, drink a lot of tea, eat some soup, and then install the new High Sierra on my MacBook. I hope it will improve it, make it faster, and I hope all of my plugins will still work, Logic will still work. Usually I can't really advise to change your OS if you have like a running music making system, but with Apple it usually works out fine. And if it doesn't, I still have like my backup and we'll just switch back to it. And don't forget to like, subscribe. Tomorrow continuing with this new song.
You had the chance to save her.
I only got toilet paper in the studio.
Didn't save her. You had the chance to be the savior. This was your final warning.